Good day, students. Today we're going to look at a solution to a trigonometric problem, trigonometry, right triangle trigonometry. This comes from practice 1, page 85. It's number 5. Of course, this is chapter 8, the last chapter in book 3 in the ma1026 booklets. Now you'll see here we have a right triangle and we have an angle 27 degrees here. See it right there. Let me just mark that a little clearer. We're given a side 5 centimeters, x, y, and we're asked to find two values, y and x. Okay, now just before we start that problem, let's quickly review the three primary trigonometric ratios. Alright, by definition, the sine of some angle, I'll use theta as a general angle, is equal to the ratio of its opposite side to its hypotenuse. Correct? Then we have the cosine of an angle. The cosine of an angle, by definition, is the ratio of its adjacent side to its hypotenuse. And of course the tan of an angle would equal the ratio of this opposite side to the adjacent side. Okay, now so there we have three primary trigonometric ratios, and you have to make a decision on which one to use depending on the problem given. So you're always looking at the given information. So if I look at the angle 27, because that's the only angle given, okay, and I'm going to label my sides based on that angle. Well, the first thing I can label is my hypotenuse. The hypotenuse never changes. The hypotenuse is always the longest side of the triangle, and it's always opposite the right angle. So there's the right angle right there. So the side opposite that is the hypotenuse. So the side WY, which is labeled X in this case, is the hypotenuse. So I'll just label that hypotenuse. Based on 27, which is the angle we're going to work with, 27 degrees, angle W, this side is known as its opposite. It's directly opposite the angle. Okay. Now opposite and adjacent change depending on the angle. If I was using angle Y, this would not be the opposite side. Okay. So opposites depend, and adjacent sides depends on the angle you're using. So the 5 centimeters you see there is opposite. So I'll label that one as opposite. Leaving Y, or WX, the side WX, to be adjacent side, which I'll abbreviate ADJ. Okay? Now, you have to make a decision. So what's your choice? We're trying to find which letter. Well, let's pick a letter. Let's try to find side Y first. So let's find Y first. So pick a letter. So we picked one. Now, pick which trigonometric ratio is the one you're going to use. Are you going to use sine? Are you going to use cosine, or are you going to use tangent? You have to make a choice here, the correct choice, okay, based on the information given. So based on the information given, if I use angle 27, I'm obviously going to use 5 because I know 5, right, which is the opposite. And what other? We're trying to find Y, so I have to use adjacent. So I'm using opposite and adjacent. Which one of the trigonometric ratios uses opposite and adjacent? And the answer is tan. So that's the one we pick, and that's why we picked it. So write tan first, write the angle next. It's always the tan of the angle, which in this case is angle W, which is 27 degrees. So write in 27 degrees. Then you write your fraction, the ratio of the opposite side, which is 5 centimeters, over the adjacent side, which is the unknown, which is Y. Now, how do you solve when the unknown is in the denominator? Well, there's a shortcut, but I'll do it the long way. This is, of course, understood to be over 1. So we know that if I cross multiply, I get Y times tan 27 equals 1 times 5, right there. And now I take each side, divide by tan 27, and by dividing by tan 27 I isolate the Y. That cancels. Of course, whatever you do to one side you must do to the other, and that works out to what? Well, let's bring up our calculator and see. Now I'm just going to quit there for a second and show you the blank screen. Now, so I have the calculator brought up. You should see it there. Now, I'm always make sure that your calculator is in degrees if you're working with degrees, which we are. That angle was in degrees, right? 27. Check and make sure. So hit the mode button. See the mode button right there. When you hit mode, you'll see normal flashing, which is normal. And you want to look down on the third row or third line. Radian degree. Now our calculator has radian highlighted. So if I did this, I would get a weird answer. So I'm going to go over, highlight degrees, and hit enter. Okay? Now I should be able to do that problem. So let's just move it over. I can't see the problem, so let's move it over here. It's 5 divided by 1027. So 5 divided by the 10 of 27, close bracket. And I get 9.813. However, the instructions are asking me to round to 1 decimal place. Round to 1 decimal place. Therefore, it's going to be 9.8. Alright, 9.8. And it is in centimeters, yes? We're dealing with centimeters. So the answer is 9.8 centimeters for y. See how I got that? So y is done. Alright, let's change colors and move over and find the other missing side, which is side x. So let's find x. Now, again, make a decision. So this time I'm going to use the 27, obviously again. I'm going to use the 5, but this time I want to use this side here, the x, which is the hypotenuse. So I'm using opposite and hypotenuse in this side. So which one do I use? Opposite and hypotenuse. Exactly. It's going to be the sine of the angle, right? We're going to use this one. Opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of the angle, which is 27 degrees, it's equal to the opposite side, which is 5 centimeters, over the hypotenuse, which is labeled x. And again, that's simple cross multiplication and divide through. So I get x times sine 27 equals 5 times 1. Now divide each side by sine 27. And calculate that again on your calculator. Easy to do. I'll just do it quickly. So this time we have 5 divided by, okay, let me just move it over so you can see the problem, sine of 27 degrees. Close bracket. Enter. That's 11.013. So it asks us around to 1 decimal place, right? 1 decimal place. So the answer is going to be 11.0. And again, it's centimeters. Don't forget to write that in as well. Anytime you know the unit of measure, write it in. And that's the complete solution. That's all we're asked to find for number 5 on page 85. The next video now we'll move on to a problem very similar, but finding the angles using trigonometry.